Are Russian airlines about to start flying back to America? This is the news that we've heard today with the sort of thawing of relations between Russia and America. We might be seeing more Russian airlines flying back to the United States, seeing direct links between Washington and Moscow, literally by the air. Let's deep dive into this and talk all about things Russia, America, and what it means for the aviation industry. So if you've been living under a rock, then you probably know that the other day Zelensky met Trump in the White House, and it was a bit of a foo-foo with them not coming to any sort of deal with the future of Ukraine. And today we saw that US President Trump was pulling the funding for the Ukrainian war, stopping all aid going through. As part of this, we've started to see some rumors that he's looking at trying to bring back good relations with Russia, asking the Department of Cybersecurity to stop doing operations against them, and to also look at removing the tariffs. But this may also include air travel, with rumors that Russia has asked the US government to start to allow more flights back into America. So according to simpleflying.com, some Russian diplomats and their US counterparts actually sat down and started to discuss thawing the actual ability of planes to fly between the two countries. At the moment, US airspace is closed to Russian airlines like Aeroflot, but Russia is trying to get that changed so they'll see planes be able to fly between Russia and America. Before the Russian conflict heated up with Ukraine, Aeroflot flew from Moscow to New York, Washington, Miami, and Los Angeles. So the diplomats are probably trying to get that restored, citing that Russian citizens have a hard time to get around the world, especially to America. Now, you may actually not know this, but a lot of Russians are allowed into America, especially those that have got dual citizenship or green cards. There's not actually a sanction against Russians coming to America, although it is mighty hard for them to apply for a visa. They have to apply for a visa at the US Embassy in Moscow, and it's definitely something that is not simple to do. But once they've got that visa, and or say they have the rights to come to America, it is actually still quite hard for them to fly over on Aeroflot. They have to rely on other airlines such as Turkish, or they have to go via Dubai or Qatar, or through Europe perhaps, to try and fly over to America. So Aeroflot is sitting here going like, hey guys, we're unable to compete with these. Can we please have access to your airspace so we can continue to fly planes over? Which, in terms of an economical idea, I'm not going to get into the politics right now, seems like a great thing. However, we need to talk about Aeroflot's planes. Aeroflot was using mostly Boeing 777-300 ERs to fly between Moscow and these American cities because of the long range, and obviously you can use a wide-body aircraft. Now, you probably realize that Aeroflot hasn't had access to a lot of spare parts during the last couple years because Boeing, being a US military contractor, is not exactly going to be giving high-end components to a nation that has I'm going to say previously been labeled as a threat to America. So these aircraft have been operating on spares, or where they've cannibalized them from other airlines, or wherever they can get the parts. So there is some dubious nature of the ability of these aircraft to fly. Now, I'm not saying that they aren't safe. It has only been a few years, but you've got to wonder what exact lengths the Russians have gone to keep their Aeroflot planes flying. We do know that a lot of planes have been grounded, especially Airbus aircraft, because they haven't got the parts, and probably any deal that would allow these planes to start flying back into America would also include maintenance. Aeroflot has 292 aircraft, so there are plenty that they can pull parts from. And when it comes to wide-body aircraft, several of these, I believe it's actually 29 of them, are 777 planes. So there are a lot of planes, and there's easily going to be a few that are completely flight-worthy and can fly to America. But whether or not the Americans trust that is a whole nother story. So that brings us back to the diplomats in Turkey trying to figure out a solution to this problem. And the diplomats have said in a press release that several of the irritants of the previous administrations have now been removed, and this discussion can move forward to allowing Aeroflot back into the skies of America. With the diplomats going as far to say that resuming this air travel would be a great way to improve the relations between the two countries. Specifically saying the American side has been encouraged to consider the restoration of direct air service between the two countries as a way conducive to improve bilateral relations. And this may have a domino effect with other countries following suit. We might see EU airspace opening up to these Russian airlines, allowing for direct flights between, say, Europe and Russia. And then we may also see this allow European airlines to now fly across Russia. I don't know if you've tried to make the jump between Asia and Europe anytime soon, because if you're not flying on a Chinese airline, it can be very difficult to get across that bridge. Specifically, the Russian airspace bridge. It costs a ton of fuel for these European airlines to fly around Russia, such as Lufthansa and British Airways, and allowing them to fly over Russia again would give them such better fuel options and reduce these prices. Well, they may not actually, pass on the cost of travel to the passengers like you or me, but it would mean that the airlines can get a more healthy profit if they're flying from Europe to Asia. So what do you think? Do you think that the US should defrost the relations? So what do you think? Do you think that the relations between Russia and America should allow direct flights again? That the airspace between the two countries should completely open up? And do you think that this will benefit you and me? I will admit though, it doesn't look like it's going to be benefiting Ukraine anytime soon. Let me know down in the comments.